Hi, my name's Margaret de Valois and I lead the Pensions and Investment team at Mazars. Providing pension benefits in today's economic climate is one of the biggest challenges that employers face. Whether pension benefits are final salary or defined contribution in nature, there are huge challenges to overcome in terms of controlling risks, managing costs, and encouraging employees to save at a time when many can least afford it. So what are the biggest problems facing employers providing pensions today? In the Inside Out magazine in February 2012, we looked at the first 5 hidden pension bombshells. I'm now going to present the next 5 that you can't afford to miss. Our 6th hidden pension bombshell relates to the governance of pension schemes. Since the formation of the pensions regulator, there's been an increased amount of guidance on how trustees should run their schemes. Whilst this is useful, it's also highlighted how difficult it is to achieve first-class governance. Cost-efficient tools are now available for trustees to assess how good they are at governing their schemes, and smart trustees are starting to use them. Our 7th hidden bombshell concerns a different type of risk, and this is the risk that the law will change and have a detrimental impact on the ability for employees and employers to save and make adequate pension provision. The first act of legislation relating to pensions in the UK was passed in 1908, and we have seen a lot of amendments since. The introduction of revaluation and deferment in the 1980s had a huge impact on the cost of final salary pensions in the UK. Most legislation we've seen recently has acted to cut the costs of pensions. However, the risk of government action causing volatility in pensions still remains. Understanding how changes in legislation could impact on the pensions you provide is therefore crucial. For our 8th hidden pension bombshell, we stay on the subject of government intervention and look at auto-enrolment. The UK government has recently passed legislation which means that most employers will have to provide a pension for their workers. The date by which employers need to be ready for auto-enrolment will depend on the size of their PAYE scheme and is called a staging date, with the first staging dates being in October 2012. Employers need to understand their requirements under these new rules to ensure they're not caught out by being unprepared for auto-enrolment. Our 9th hidden bombshell relates to scheme structure. Earlier this year, Steve Webb, the Pensions Minister, raised the idea of a defined aspiration scheme that would be halfway between defined contribution and final salary, but without some of the funding requirements that final salary schemes have. Whilst this might sound attractive, a balance needs to be struck between the complexity and the practicality of running a hybrid type scheme. So-called hybrid schemes can be very complicated, and it may mean that employees don't join the scheme because they simply don't understand it. Employers should therefore watch out for any overcomplicated scheme structures and try and avoid them where possible. The final of our 10 hidden bombshells relates to perception, and more specifically, your perception of the data you hold in respect of members in your scheme. We've talked about a number of risks in our bombshell series. However, the key to managing all these comes down to the state of your data. Even if you believe that the data you hold in respect of your members is accurate and up to date, it's also important that any third party working with your scheme also sees clear data. Whether it's for a buyout quote, a de-risking exercise, or simply paying your pensions, it's the reality of the state of your data that counts, not your perception. And one of the biggest risks facing you is that you don't have your shop in order. And so there you have it, our final 5 hidden pension bombshells. I hope you found that useful.